Yo guys, what's going on? Today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal, and it's not just because of my shitty quarantine stash. It's because we're going to be going over some food photography tips that can take your photos from this to this. These tips take less than 2 minutes to apply to your photos, and you can do them all with things lying around the house. We're going to be showing how these photos work using just a simple Walmart pastry. Because this is going to show you guys that you don't need fancy food or fancy gear or anything like that to make this happen. They work with cell phone, they work with camera, whatever you got. So without further ado, let's learn some stuff.
Okay, so we have our Walmart croissant right here. I mean, it's fine, but at the same time, this isn't any picture that you would really want to look at right now. It just looks okay. It looks like a basic pastry, like you'd see in a cartoon or something and be like, oh, that's a pastry. So our first photo we're going to take right here. This is just in my kitchen on the cutting board. There's a regular like tungsten light behind me. And then there's just some window light to the right of me, but it's not really shining in too much over here. So yeah, this is just a kitchen counter shot, just the basic regular shot that somebody would take of this food. So now we're going to incorporate tip number 1. And tip number 1 is simply to add window light. Use window light. My bad. All right, so yeah, this tip's really easy and really important. Window light's the best type of light, and it's free. I just took this little cart here and brought it up next to my biggest window in my place. And as you'll see right here, the shot already looks way better. You can start seeing some of the details in the croissant, some of the crevices in between each layer there. The story is starting to unfold about why this food is special. So we're going to frame up this picture really basically here and get the shot, and as you can see, it's already a lot better than that first photo we took. I used the same edit on both photos. I just copied and pasted within the program, so there's not really any difference between how I edited them. What there is a difference in is the lighting. I turned off all the tungsten lights in my place and just used this window light, and that just allows a much cleaner look for the photo. But we still need to do some more work on these photos, so now let's move on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 is get closer. My brother taught me this when I was just starting out food photography. I took all these distant pictures of food and I wasn't getting any of the details, and that's where a lot of the story lies. This croissant, for example, needs to be folded multiple times over multiple days, so getting closer and taking a photo like this is much more efficient at telling the story as to why this is a special food. That being said, we're going to move on to tip number 3, and tip number 3 is to add some props to your photo. So props are great because they help to give you more association with how this food fits into your daily life. So me, for example, I eat these with breakfast, and I eat them with my morning coffee. So I added some coffee beans in here, I added a bag of coffee in the background, and I also added some little espresso mugs with cute little sayings on them because I thought they created a cool vibe for this croissant and makes it look more like a cafe feel. So yeah, as you can see, this is nothing complicated. These are just things I had in my coffee pantry, and I just brought them out, and since I'm so close up, they have like more of an epic look. But I still want to see a few more details from each of the props, so I'm just going to readjust my angle here so that I have the coffee beans in the foreground, and then I have my subject right in the midground, and then in the background I have the bag and the 2 little espresso mugs. And I think it looks pretty awesome. This is just a quick at-home shoot, so I think this more than does the job, and you're about to see our final photo for how this comes out. And boom. I really like how this came out. You can see all of the nice ridges in the croissant. The coffee beans have a nice sheen to them, and the background adds some light having both the bag and the mugs in there. Of course, the bag isn't that pretty, but I'm just showing little things I have around the house to show you that even simple little things can liven up your photos. Which moves on to tip number 4, which is get creative and tell a story. So, as I was saying before, I eat these with my coffee every morning, but I don't just eat them alongside my coffee. I dip them in like it's cookies and milk. I have loved doing this for years. I started doing it when I was studying abroad, and to this day, it still makes me feel like that young kid in a strange country. So, I made a beautiful little espresso drink right here. This is just a real basic latte with a nice little rosetta on top. And I thought that the dumping into this would make the photo more exciting. It's like a little bit about ruining something beautiful, but also kind of creating something beautiful. So I have this board that's going to bounce the light back onto the coffee setup, and I have the pastry, which I'm just gonna dunk in there and hopefully turn my camera on high-speed shutter and get a nice shot of it. So as you can see here, came out pretty nice. I don't know if it's as good as the first ones, but it's just a different style of shot, and I like that.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you kind of learned some things from it. Quick recap of what we went over in it. You start out with this shitty photo right here, and then you just add some window light, and that is already a marked improvement. And then you get close to tell some of the finer details of what's going on with the object, what's happening there, and then you add some props to start reminding people about little stories associated with this food. And then finally, in our final tip, we get creative with it. We show how this thing is in action in how it fits into our lives, and yeah, capture a moment in time with that photo. Obviously, these tips are not universal. Some photos are going to be better when they're further away. Getting closer isn't always going to solve everything. Window light isn't always going to be better than a controlled lighting source. But that being said, if you're a home photographer just taking quick pictures of your food, I think that these tips will go a long way, whether you're on cell phone or a camera or whatever. So if you got anything from this video, if you feel like you became a better photographer through it, comment down below. Let me know what you're taking pictures of, what's going on. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day, and as always, keep living an awesome life.